Hi, and welcome to Four Corners Level 4, Unit 2. This unit is titled Communicating. Okay, and we're going to see vocabulary and grammar in this video. We're going to start with vocabulary and language learning tips, and grammar with present perfect continuous, and then we're going to see vocabulary, ways of communicating or not, and we're going to see a little bit of grammar at the end using two verbs and an object. Okay, we're going to start with vocabulary, language learning tips. Now these are practices that you can apply in your life so that you can learn English. Okay, so I'm going to read the box. It says, tips for successful language learning: watch online video clips, keep a vocabulary notebook, make flashcards, talk with native speakers, watch movies with subtitles, and talk to yourself out loud. Okay, now there's three different types of categories of tips. We got to remember vocabulary, to increase speaking fluency, and to improve listening comprehension. Okay, now to remember vocabulary, you can either make flashcards or keep a vocabulary notebook. This means keeping words written down or keeping written notes that you can go back on. Okay, the flashcards are for you can apply them in games for learning. You can have the word in the front and the definition in the back, and have a partner show the words to you, and you can try to describe it or try to remember the definition to the word. Okay, or you can keep a vocabulary notebook where you have all the words written down with their definition, so you can go back at it whenever you use them. Words that you want to use in the future or might need frequently. Okay, these are good practices, just like keeping a dictionary close by or having a dictionary website as one of your favorites on the phone for easy access. Category number 2 is to increase speaking fluency. You can talk with native speakers or talk to yourself out loud, right? So in order to get your speaking fluency improved, you have to speak, right? The more words you get out of you in a different language or the language that you're trying to learn, the better. Remember, your tongue is a muscle that you need to work out. So the more you speak, the better. You can practice singing along to songs or reading out loud, or try to translate your private thoughts from Spanish to English or any other language which you are trying to learn. Okay, and the third category is to improve listening comprehension. Now here we're talking about your ears. What do? You can watch online video clips or watch movies with subtitles. Remember, everybody has different accents or just different pronunciation for the words. But listening to people speak, like in video clips, TVs, or movies, your ear can get used to listening to that new language. Now, if you find yourself having trouble understanding what they're saying, you can apply the subtitles to movies or any other videos that you may be watching, so you can follow along with the words. Now, I recommend that if you use subtitles, you keep it in the same language. Therefore, you're not just listening, but you're reading along instead of just being translated, because that can confuse you a little bit because it would be in a different order. Okay, now we're going to see an example of one of these language learning tips being used in a sentence. It says, my number one goal is to improve my listening comprehension. I often watch online video clips in English. Okay, so what is he trying to improve? Listening comprehension. What does he do? Just watches online video clips in English. Okay, now we got grammar. It says, the grammar box says, use the present perfect continuous to emphasize the duration of an action that is in progress. How long, recently, and lately are often used with the present perfect continuous. Now, the first question says, what have you been doing recently? I've been reading magazines. If you can tell, the bold letters are have and been doing. So we're going to try to use the same information that's in the question and the answer. So it's a contraction for I have, so it's I have been reading magazines. What have you been doing recently? I have been reading magazines. Second sentence. How long has he been writing in his notebook? he's been writing in it for about a month. So we're doing the same thing. Only this time it's not have, it's has. Okay, and the contraction here is he's been writing, or he has been writing in it for about a month. Third sentence. Have they been talking to native speakers lately? We're going to use the same word, have, and the answer. So it's yes, they have, no, they have not. Those are two options, or two ways you can answer the question. But as you can see, they both have. It only adds a not if it's negative, or takes it away if it's positive. Remember, some verbs are not usually used in the continuous form. Examples of the words are believe, belong, forget, hate, hope, know, like, love, need, own, remember, and want. Now, to better understand that, we're going to see a few examples. So we're going to complete the conversations with the present perfect continuous forms of the verbs. Okay, conversation number 1, it's have you been doing anything recently to improve your vocabulary? We're going to use either have or has. But since we're talking about you, it's going to be have you been doing. Since the verb is do, we're going to put been doing. Remember, we're going to put been in each one as well. So we're going to choose have, and we're going to add been to the present continuous form of the word in parentheses. So it's have you been doing anything recently to improve your vocabulary? Okay. Yes, I have. Now we're using have because it's the same word that we used in the question. So it's yes, I have. I've been keeping a vocabulary notebook. Conversation number 2, how long have you been studying English? I've been studying English since last year. Okay. So here we're using have, and we're going to keep using the word been, and we're just going to change the word in parentheses to its present perfect continuous form. Conversation number 3. What have you been doing in class lately? We've been making vocabulary flashcards. Okay? So again, we're using have in both, only in the answer it's a contraction with we, so it's we have or we've been making vocabulary flashcards. Now the word in parentheses is do. We just add the ing to make it present perfect continuous. Now it's not something you're going to do in the future, it's something you're doing. And we add the been to clarify that you've been doing it, right? So you're doing it right now, but you didn't start right now. You have been doing it for a while. Now, vocabulary. This is vocabulary so you can communicate or not. In other words, vocabulary that you can use in order to continue conversation or end a conversation. See, number 1 is answer the phone. Is that a way to communicate or not? That would be C, right? To communicate. It would be a way of communicating. If you did not want to communicate, then you wouldn't answer the phone. But if you answer the phone, there's going to be somebody on the other line, and you can start a conversation. Number 2, call someone back. Is that a way to communicate or a way not to communicate? That would be a way to communicate. C. Number 3, don't check voicemail. That would be avoiding communication, and it would be A, ways to avoid communicating. Number 4, ignore a text. Is that ways to communicate or ways to avoid communicating? That would be avoiding communication. Number 5, leave someone a voicemail. That would be C. That's a way to communicate. Number 6, let the call go to voicemail. That would be avoiding communication. Number 7, respond to an email. If you're responding, then you are communicating. So we put C. Number 8, screen your calls. Okay? Here you are avoiding communication by screening your calls. So that would be 8. 9, be turn off the phone. That would be another way of avoiding communication. If your phone is off and somebody needs to contact you, they're going to have to find a different way. Number 10, update your status online. That would be a way of communicating. Okay, now we're going to use one in an example. It says, I update my status online every day. That way my friends know what I'm doing. That would be a way of communicating. Okay, now we're going to see grammar. Using two verbs, and the structure is verb plus object plus verb. Now the grammar box says some verbs are commonly followed by an object and the base form of another verb. First question says, would you let me help? Please make them be quiet. Okay. Now the bold letters are the verbs and the object is in the middle. It's not in bold letters, but it's the structure, right? Verb, object, verb. So here's let me help. So what are you going to do? You're going to let. Let who? Me. Let me do what? Help. So remember, the bold letters are actions that you're going to do or you can do. Okay, now see the answer. Please make them be quiet. What is the verb? Make. Make who? Them. Make them do what? Make them be quiet. Could you have her text me? Please help me call people. Now, could you have her text me? Okay, verb is have. Have who? What is the object? Her. Have her do what? Have her text me. Next sentence, please help me call people. There's two actions. First action is help. What is the object? Me. So help me do what? Help me call people. Some verbs are commonly followed by an object and an infinitive to plus verb. It says, I invited you to come. So infinitive means it's going to have the to in front of the verb, because you can't just have the verb alone because it's all it is. It's a verb. If you want to use it, you have to add the to it. So I invited you. I invited you to what? To come. Now, I'll ask her to help me. I'll ask her for what? What is the verb? Help. I'll ask her to help me. Next question is, would you tell her to call me? Again, we're keeping the same structure, verb plus object plus verb. Only we're adding the to make it an infinitive. Okay? So it's, would you tell her to call me? Could you remind them to come early? Could you remind them to what? To come early. Okay, so in this activity, we're going to circle the correct forms of the verbs. Number one says, you're talking to a friend on the phone and you get another call. What do? I tell the caller to call me back. Okay, so here we're using the infinitive, to verb. You can't just leave the verb alone. It can't be, I tell the caller call me back later. You have to add the to. I tell the caller to call me back later. Okay, B says, I have my friend call me back. Here we didn't use the to because we have the word have. Okay, let's see another example. Number two, your grandmother can't input numbers into her cell phone. What do? I have someone input the numbers for her. Do you see this a similarity? It has the word have. So sometimes you have to just look out for the words in the context. I say, let me help you. Now here we don't use the to because it's not going to be to do something. It's let me help you. Another example. Number three, your phone rings in the middle of the night. What do? I let the call go to voicemail. It's not I let the call to go to voicemail because it's not an infinitive. So it's just I let the call go to voicemail. B, I answer but ask the person to call back in the morning. So to is when you include someone else and you're going to ask them to do something. Number four, an uninvited stranger shows up at your party. What do? I invite the person to come in because it's somebody else that's going to do it. B, I make the person leave. Now here we have the word make. Remember, look at the grammar box. We have the words make, let, and have, and help. So it's just things that you have to remember. So it's I make the person leave. So it's not something you're asking them to do, it's something you make them do. Okay, number five. A friend is always phoning you in class. What do? I remind my friend to call later. Okay, B. I ask my friend to stop calling. I ask my friend to do what? To stop calling. Number six. Your sister has been secretly using your phone to send text. What do? I make her pay for using my phone. Now again, we have the word make. B, I let her continue to use my phone. Okay, that is all for this video. I hope it was helpful, and we'll see each other next video.